Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Vocal Arts, wherever you are watching or listening from. I am here with Simone Simons, and I'm going to pass the baton over to her and let her tell you guys a little bit about who she is and what she does.
Well, I'm a woman from the Netherlands, and my main occupation is fronting a symphonic metal band from the Netherlands called Epica since 23 years already.
Fantastic. Let's actually get into that. I would love to hear kind of the origin story about how you got involved with Epica.
Well, I was 17, so 2002, and Mark, who was my boyfriend back at the time, was in After Forever. And when he quit After Forever, he wanted to start a new band. And he knew that I loved to sing, but I was still in high school. So at first, I declined the offer of joining his band. I thought, let's do the wise thing, finish high school, and then, go study, get a job. Of course, I love to sing, but I thought, maybe I should finish high school first. But as they couldn't find a singer, like find a good match, he asked me again, and I thought, you know what, I should maybe just do it. What can I lose? I tried to juggle both things, like being in a band and studying for my end exams. And I quickly found out that it was almost unbearable to combine both. So I took the bold decision and decided to pursue a career in music because I thought, after 2 or 3 years, it's not for me. I'll go back to school, finish my high school and study whatever I feel like. But I kind of had a good feeling in my gut that that was the road I had to take, even though I thought it was very scary at first.
Yeah, awesome. You've got to shoot your shot, as the people say.
Yeah, I mean, in the music business, it's a combination of many factors that lead to a successful, fruitful, long career. But one of them is also, like you said, when you are offered the opportunity, don't think too much about it. If you have passion for music, then you should, grab it with both hands.
Yeah. And at the time you joined, was the group already quite successful? Were you joining on to a very big name, or was the group kind of at its origins at that point as well?
It was a couple months after they created the band, so there were they only rehearsed with another singer and there are no recordings. So I did the demo recordings when the band was still called Sahara Dust. And that we had that name up until we started recording the first album, Phantom Agony, and that's when we switched to Epica because it was a better fit to the music. Sahara Dust was a little bit the first name because some songs have a little oriental touch to them. But then we thought that that name would limit us too much in a certain direction. And yeah, Epica is a much better fit. So we went with that name, and I think it was the right decision.
Awesome. And genre-wise, has the group always been in the what you would consider symphonic metal?
Yeah, I think so. I often say cinematic metal, but symphonic metal pretty much sums it up. Of course, we have 6 band members that all have kind of a different musical background. We have our drummer, Arjen, and our guitarist, Isaac, that came from a got dethroned, which is black metal. But as they, entered the band a couple of years later and started writing songs, the music became heavier, actually, gradually through the years. And with our latest new band member, who has been with us now for 13 years already, Rob, our bass player, he's also a songwriter. And I think from all of us, he might have the most eclectic music taste. And he also really contributes lovely songs with his own unique style, and he has become more of a prominent songwriter with each album after that.
And how would you define symphonic metal versus regular metal or black metal? What separates it from the other genres?
I think within Epica we combine the classical music instruments, so the orchestra, the choir, also at times classical singing by myself or the choir, and cinema, a little bit of that as well, like soundtrack. I would not call it soundtrack metal, but we have a couple of songs that really sound like a movie score. So it's very atmospheric and very dynamic, just like classical music. Classical music is sometimes a little like metal as well. It can get pretty brutal, and it has also really beautiful, serene parts. And so does Epica. We're very, diverse band and mix up different metal styles. But the core of Epica is definitely very symphonic because of the choir and the orchestra. They have quite a prominent role.
Awesome. So as far as your vocal training, I come from the opera background as well. I sing opera professionally. We're currently in the middle of a production of Aida by Verdi right now, which is awesome.
Are you a baritone?
Bass baritone. Yeah.
Bass. Yeah. Because you have a very low voice.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
That's cool. I love it when we use the male choir in the songs and they sing really low.
Yeah.
That's really, really beautiful. It's awesome. Yeah.
It adds that foundation to it, right?
Yes. It's definitely the ground of everything. Yeah.
Definitely. So as far as, if you started when you were really young, as you know, developing classical technique often takes people a very long time to become proficient at it. So if you were kind of coming straight out of high school into this genre where you have to sing a little bit classically, how did you approach that? Did you have a classical voice teacher to help you along the way?
Yes, I did. For many years, I started with modern pop singing lessons with a lovely female teacher, but we mostly spent the hours talking, and I ended up singing songs that didn't really resonate with me, Janet Jackson, Mariah Carey, those kind of songs. And I didn't feel that it was challenging for me, nor that I was learning a lot of technique. Of course, the way you carry your body, your breathing. But it wasn't up until I started taking classical singing lessons. I think I was 16. And that's where I learned a lot in those years. And I also sang in a choir. And my singing teacher was there as I was preparing to enter Epica. Well, at first, I actually asked him, do you know any cool singers that might like to join a band? Because I think I should finish high school. And his plan was to kind of prepare me to go to the conservatory. So to really study classical singing. And I was still very young. One of my great aunts is actually a singing teacher, classical singing teacher. And she also came to my house back then to listen to my singing and give me some advice. And her advice was to wait until I would be a little older in order to start really training my voice. But I didn't listen to her because I got the option of being in a band. And I thought, you know what, I can grow with the band. And one thing we did with Epica, for which I'm very grateful, and that's due to Mark's experience already being in another band, is invest in an ear monitor system so that during the rehearsals, during the first shows, I could already hear myself really well. So I wouldn't lose my voice. And it would be really, it's very beneficiary for singers to sing with an ear monitor to really get, the pitch right and not break your voice, because that can easily happen. So yeah, and I still continued doing singing lessons with it was a male classical singing teacher who happens to now also sing in the choir of André Rieu. He's a Dutch violinist. He does many shows, mainly in the south of the Netherlands. And he's singing there now, and I think he's still teaching. And I met him a couple of years ago. But after him, I still worked with other singing teachers because I did a musical once, a rock musical. So I started working with another singing teacher who taught me the techniques of belting, because that was necessary in a musical. And after that, I still went to go check out another classical singing teacher in Stuttgart, where I live. But honestly, he was really expensive for me at the time. And I just took like a double lesson with him. And he kind of threw out a lot of, great tips. And he let me sing a couple of songs. And my plan at the moment is to go actually back to take more classical singing lessons, because that's, from all the styles that I use within Epica, is still the one I enjoy the most. And I find the most intriguing how you can shift the human voice, into that sound.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. So.
It's such a deep rabbit hole too. The classical technique gets so nuanced, and so detailed. And I think it's one of the reasons it takes so long. It's kind of like vocal engineering in a way, where you're optimizing the space in your throat and your tongue position and your vocal fold closure to be able to project. Because as you know, in the proper opera house setting, there's no microphone, so it's just voice against orchestra. And it does feel like a superpower a little bit. I think I'm with you.
And it's crazy that those tiny little vocal cords can produce it, but as well as a singer, that you don't just sing with your voice, you engage your whole body when you do it. It needs to have the right support to do it. And my son gave me the weirdest and at the same time the coolest compliment ever, that he kind of complimented me on being able to create insane volume with my voice. Like, he said, how can you do that from going from zero and then being so loud? I think he meant it I took it as a compliment.
Oh, definitely. Do you find that if let's say you were performing in an acoustic setting, so no microphones, and you're singing with classical technique, would you perform there differently than you would when you have a microphone and you're in a show, or do you try to keep the technique the same in both of those situations?
It depends on the acoustic of the room, of course, because we all love a little reverb, a little bathroom to carry the sound waves. And when you have an ear, I actually always have my vocals completely dry. So when I do a live show, I don't like to hear any effects on it. So for me, it's easier to pitch. If I just get a dry vocal signal, it's what I like to do. With the exception, of course, recording vocals is different, but there is, majority of the time, it's also dry, unless it's like an atmospherical part where you need to get a little bit into the vibe of it. And acoustic shows, even the acoustic shows we've done in the past, I still had a microphone and an ear, but I have sung, there's this, I think it's called staircase shows we did somewhere in America when we had the Quantum Enigma, where it was Isaac, our guitarist, playing acoustic guitar, and I'm just singing in the staircase. And that was fun as well. But yeah, it's difficult to say. I don't think too much. I just sing in a way. It's like the technique and the muscle memory is there in a way. So the only way, if I think more about my singing and my technique, is when I'm, for example, not feeling the best, when I'm very tired or jet lagged or even sick, that you have to become more aware of your singing to spare your voice. For example, to do a 3-hour show that we did recently in Mexico, I had the worst jet lag ever. I didn't sleep much and I had to pull a 3-hour show. So I just sang more economically, if that makes sense, in order to really keep my voice through the whole set and not lose it. And when you're sick as well, when you already feel the throat sickness, I can be sick as a dog with a high fever and still have a good voice quality. But then you have that nasty throat infection that just kills your voice. And what I do then mostly is sing in head voice, because the chest voice is the first thing that goes away. I cannot belt anymore. And I fortunately didn't have that a lot in my career, that I lost my voice. I've been sick a lot, but still managed to sing very well, I think. I survived.
Yeah. I guess that's a nice benefit of having the amplification system, of having a microphone to where you don't have to produce all the volume that you can.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, I can sing the softest melody, but it can still be amplified if you
Yeah.
have a good
Yeah.
front of house, and we do.
Yeah. 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 And it's of course not the same. There's a difference in intensity, if you
Hmm.
sing something as a high belt or you sing it in your head voice. But
Hmm.
the sound system can help a lot, if you're sick and the notes just aren't there, for example, that can be
Hmm.
really useful.
Yeah,
Very
and of
cool.
course, I always have an arsenal of my favorite teas, my favorite throat candies that I like to take
Hmm.
that give me, keep the throat and everything nice and hydrated. And other than that, it's just resting and sleeping, and a positive mindset can do a lot as well, because you can totally block if you're afraid of not being able to do it.
Hmm.
So almost half of the work is also, that click in your brain
Hmm.
to give you that push, and the adrenaline, of course. Adrenaline is always a good natural drug, I guess.
Hmm. Have you ever used a personal vocal steamer?
Never,
Where you
no. The only
inhale
thing
steam?
no,
Mm.
I have tried it when I was a little feeling under the weather, that I take, for example, long showers.
Hmm.
So that helps a little bit, but I don't have a lot of fancy throat things. The only thing I have is the bubbling straw,
Hmm.
and that I use rarely, and I use it mostly when I have long shows or when I'm not feeling the best. And other than that, I think Marcella, a friend of mine, and she's also a singer, she once gave me a little device, but I don't know where it is. I'm sorry, Marcella, if she's watching this.
The vocal steamer I found is really, really useful. Obviously, sleep
Hmm.
and like full body hydration is the most important thing. But
Hmm.
I find if I'm feeling a little under the weather, like 30 minutes with a vocal steamer, kind of right before you go out to perform, is really, really helpful. And it's hard not to get hooked on it because it makes your voice feel really good. But I think
Okay.
if you can reserve it for the times that you really need it, when you're sick or
Hmm.
when you're jet lagged, it can be really useful. You can get one for, $50 or so. So it might be worth a try. You could test it out in a rehearsal or something at some point.
Yeah, I might Google that later on.
And so you still train with teachers. Do you do any kind of daily vocal routine for yourself, or you're working on things and you're finding things to improve, or is most of your formal training always with a teacher?
Well, what I like to do if I have to prepare for special shows or even vocal recordings, I record myself in a video, and then I listen back to it to see if I'm missing some things that I think I sing correctly, but then the recording is very brutally honest. So then I know, okay, that's where I need to think, that's where I need to pitch higher. Mostly if I'm out of tune, it's mostly then flat.
Mm.
So, and I also remember the very first time I recorded my vocals for the Phantom Agony, our first CD. I was shocked how my voice sounded. It was so different from how I heard it myself. It was very confronting. I had
Mhm.
to kind of befriend with the sound of my voice, how it sounded on the recording. And at the moment, I don't have a teacher that I'm working with, but I am thinking of getting back in touch with the last teacher that I
Mhm.
worked with because of my love for classical music and opera, and recently saw the movie Maria also
Mhm.
and started listening to her work, Maria Callas.
Oh my gosh, unbelievable.
But Montserrat Caballé is one of the favorites, I think, when it comes to the crystalline singing. And I actually have not, I went once to the opera, and it was in Hungary. And I didn't understand much. It was in Hungarian, and it was a long time ago. But actually, Mark's girlfriend is an opera singer, and she has an amazing voice, and she's really good. And yeah, who
Stutt-
knows?
Stuttgart has a great opera house.
I know. I when I'm in the city, I walk by, but I've never been inside.
Oh, you
So
should go. I have a number of friends and colleagues that sing there and have sung there.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe you can hook me up.
Yeah, I'll get you some VIP passes.
Yeah, that would be lovely. I mean, my plan was actually to go to Italy, to La Scala, and see
Oh,
one of the operas there. But unfortunately, my schedule is so full and tickets are sold out far in advance, you know.
yeah,
But who knows?
that's the most popular house in Europe, in Italy for sure, and
Mm.
one of the most popular in Europe, in the world.
Mm.
Great house. They're ruthless there, I hear. They whistle at people if they don't like it.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Well, Italians are very vocal, literally and figuratively.
they are. Yeah. So before you got into Epica, what was your musical training like through childhood and through, what we would call middle school here, early
Mhm.
teenage years?
Well, we start in primary school with the mandatory flute playing. All the kids get the plastic version of the flute, and that's how we learn to read scores and play melodies. So that's how I basically started to get more into music. And after that, I played the metal flute, so this one,
Hmm. Hmm.
for almost 2 years. Because my aspirations back then was to become a professional piccolo player.
Wow.
And I was told in order to do that, you first need at least 4 years of the normal flute before you transition to the smaller one. But unfortunately, my teacher and I didn't get along, and I did not enjoy going to music lessons, so I quit. And after that, I started with singing lessons.
Why the piccolo? Were you just drawn to the really high frequencies?
I think so. Yeah, I thought it was a cool instrument somehow. I never really felt drawn to play the piano or a string instrument. My father had a keyboard at home. He had the big alt flute, the wooden one. But I remember as a kid, my fingers were too small to close the holes nor to spread the fingers far enough.
Hmm.
And the flute is what all the kids get, at least in Holland back then, so 30 years ago. And then it was easier for me to then start playing. I think I don't know, in Dutch we say dwarsfluit, the flute, the metal flute.
Hmm.
I remember I got one secondhand. I still have it. And funny enough, when I was going through my basement, I tried to play it again. And I tried to play an Epica melody on it, just figuring it out. But it's been so long ago.
Hmm.
Never really felt drawn to playing guitar either. I tried it a couple times, but it didn't click, and the singing is the thing I enjoy the most. I also enjoy that I don't need to carry any flight cases with me. I always have my instrument with me, but it comes with great responsibility, and it's a fragile instrument.
Hmm.
But I think singing for me also feels more direct into, channeling your energy
Hmm.
and expressing your personality and your emotions directly coming out of you instead of having an instrument in between.
Hmm.
It's at the same time more intimate, more personal for me to do that, and it's very therapeutic. If I don't sing, I miss it, and I often sing when I'm happy, and
Hmm.
unfortunately, when my son is with me, he often complains that it's very loud. So what I often do is I just sing when I'm in the car by myself because nobody's going to complain. And I can really sing as loud as I can. But I have gotten a warning from my Apple Watch that I'm in a loud surrounding, but I was creating that sound myself.
Yeah.
You can get hearing damage from this. And I thought, okay. Imagine me damaging my ears by singing too loud in a small room.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. That's an occupational hazard of having a loud voice. I remember when I was we were coaching a scene from Don Giovanni at this, my last bit of training that I was doing. And I remember my Apple Watch told me it was like 105 decibels
yeah,
in this rehearsal space. And it's like, you're going to lose your hearing very,
Mm-hmm.
very quickly in that. I'm like, well, I mean, it's just acoustic, so like it's not going to get any quieter. Like it's not even
Mm-hmm.
amplified, you know. That it is an amazing thing about the classical training. It really has to be that powerful, you know.
Yeah. And if you do it in the car, then it's bounced back right at you.
Hmm.
It somehow even amplifies it even more.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's cool. I'm one of those people. I don't really sing in the shower. I sing in the car.
it's a great place to just kind of let it rip, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you ever have any aspirations to actually sing, you know, traditional operatic repertoire, to be an opera singer?
Well, back in the day when I still had my singing lessons with my classical teacher, he thought that I had a great voice for it. But of course, I would have to train much more than I did, and I chose not to go to the conservatory, but to be in a band, and that was my school in a way. But I can imagine, I think classical singers often are at their peak from 40s on upwards, you know.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and my vocal range has expanded much more over the years compared to 20 years ago. Um, and I'm very lucky that my voice is quite strong, no matter, you know, if I get sick, if I'm tired, if I have extensive vocal recordings. I consider myself blessed with a very strong voice. But watching all the videos on YouTube, of course, Maria Callas and Montserrat, I was binge
Hmm.
watching them already before watching Maria because, yeah, they are
Amazing.
icons.
Yeah,
Yeah, amazing.
truly.
And I enjoy the female classical voice a lot. And I don't know, I would be, of course, now I wouldn't say at the peak of my career with Epica. Who knows where it goes, but I'm still
Hmm.
going to be going strong with Epica. But I will simultaneously start to train my classical voice more and maybe do a
Hmm.
recording,
Hmm.
maybe do concerts. I don't know if I would be the right fit for a classical opera singer because also I don't know if one thing I, for example, didn't enjoy when I was singing in a musical is acting
Yeah.
or wearing weird costumes. Of course, for Epica, I wear weird costumes, but I am not the best actor. So and another thing with the musical was that I had to play a role. And with Epica, I'm free to do what I want, you know, and
Hmm.
I act the way I am in real life. That's how I am on stage. And I think I might feel too confined in playing a role.
Hmm.
So I could consider doing concerts, but to sing actually in an opera, maybe that is already too late for me because I'm already 40 and I would still have to train a couple years in order
Hmm.
to do that. And I'm still going to be busy with Epica.
Yeah.
So, but never say never, you know,
Yeah, definitely.
who
You can
knows?
always stay open to it, you know.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried music production or arranging or composition or anything like that?
Well, with Epica, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me about that. What you do with Epica for those things?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, recording CDs. That's what you mean, right? Writing
I mean,
songs or
yeah, that songwriting you know, you producing the music or writing parts or stuff like that.
yeah, we have a producer for Epica, and
Hmm.
I released a solo album together with Arjen Lucassen, and he was the producer. And for Epica, I write vocal lines that sometimes are transcribed into music, and most of the time used as actual vocal lines. Um, I myself am very much a noob when it comes to recording my own vocals. I can do demo recordings, but I probably know more about Photoshop and how to edit photos because I also do photography than I do about working with Pro Tools. I mean, if I have to record vocals, it's just in GarageBand or it's sometimes even on my phone, just
Hmm.
the recording device. But I always need help from the pros to get my ideas out on
Sure.
a record. So yeah, I think that's I rather have professionals do that. So,
Oh yeah,
but yeah,
most.
I've been always writing vocal lines for the Epica songs and lyrics as well.
Okay.
Um, but I can't really play the piano that well. I started actually learning how to play the piano in the pandemic. My son also plays the piano, but he's way more advanced than me. And every time I try to practice, he would come up to me and say, "No, mommy, you need to do it like this." And then I kind of lost my motivation. I mean, I have a piano in the house, but it's basically for my son.
Mm.
And for, for singing, I have very basic knowledge of reading sheet music.
Mm.
So,
So when you show up to an
but
Epica recording session, are the vocal lines very rehearsed and planned very well ahead of time, or do you make up a lot of things on the spot and kind of figure out harmonies and melodies, in real time?
well, the vocal lines are basically pre-produced in demos already for, let's say, 90% finished. And when I entered the studio to do the final recordings, we still change some things here and there. And sometimes I might have a cool idea of harmonies or variations or ad-libs. Um, and then we just record it in the studio. It's the same with the lyrics. They're almost completely finished, but there can still be some little alterations during the final recordings. But with Epica, we did a couple of writing camps where we were coming together as a band, renting a house in the middle of nowhere where we would listen to the demos that the guys wrote, and then we set up a couple of recording setups so I could record demo vocal lines for the demo songs. And with each writing camp that we had, we kind of fine-tuned it. And after that, we also go to the studio to record even a more finalized demo with also the final lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
And those are then the songs that I practice to at home. So by the time I'm in the studio, it's already kind of in my muscle memory. So I don't need to think too much about it and can focus more on the emotion of the singing.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And what's the Epica schedule look like? Do you guys go back and forth between touring and recording? Do those ever overlap and it's like complete chaos and overwhelming or anything like that?
It used to be chaos. A couple of years ago, for example, during the holographic principle, we were on tour and at the same time writing the songs, and our producer even joined us on tour because we had such an extensive touring schedule that we really had to cram it into every little time frame that we had. And after that, we all felt a little burnt out, and we decided that with the next album, we're going to do this writing session. And that was so lovely for us because some of us have kids and we don't live in the same country, and even the ones that live in the Netherlands live far away from each other. So it's not like in between touring, we get together and jam. But we wanted to really get together as a band to write on the demos together in the same room, also with the vocal lines, so that the songs would get more organic in a way and not too much programmed, and everybody sitting at home in their home studio writing the songs, and that the guys also know what songs to write in order for my vocals so I could do a good job, I guess. And for this last album, we did the same. So we didn't tour. I think we only did 2 shows. We originally planned to not do any touring, so we wouldn't have any distractions. And we would also be rested enough and feel inspired to write and record a new album. But then we got 2 cool offers to do a show, and we made an exception for it. But not ever since Omega, so our 8th album, now we have our 9th album, Spiral. Ever since Omega, we decided, we need to really carefully plan the creative part and not be completely exhausted from tour life.
Mm-hmm.
And that really worked out well. So for Spiral, we did 3 of those writing sessions. And in between those, they were spread over a couple of months. In between those, and all of us would still continue working on the lyrics or whatever at home, because we all have a mobile recording setup. And that's a little bit how we roll. And it was really nice also to be together as a band, not on the road, but really, in the middle of nowhere, just a couple of chickens and write music and hang out and connect again and do the thing that is actually most important, is writing music. That's awesome. Where it all starts.
Exactly. Storytelling. And when you go to when you guys do go to the studio, do you do the album kind of all at once over the period of a few weeks or a month, or do you have a bunch of recording sessions throughout the year where you put the album together?
It's basically like a consecutive of 3-4 months where we book the studio. And a new thing that we've been doing ever since, in between Omega and A Spiral, we had also an EP, which was is called the Alchemy Project, where we collaborated with a lot of other musicians. And that's where the band, so the rhythm section, the guitar, bass guitar, and drummer recorded the song as a trio, so to speak. And normally, up until then, it would start with first drum recordings, then guitar, bass, and then you would get vocals basically at the end and the choir. And we did that with the Alchemy Project. And the guys really liked it because it made the songs sound a little bit more raw, as if they were jamming and, not overly programmed and produced until you edit all the life out of it. And they really loved that. So they did that with A Spiral as well. And before that, we had, the guys had a couple of rehearsals to really, know the song. So they could record the song from beginning till the end. And Joost just asked them to do it a couple of times, our producer. And then he was, of course, editing them, but not too much, because we really wanted to have it a little bit more like raw, rock and roll kind of feeling.
Yeah.
And my vocals normally take like 2 weeks to record, but I don't sing every day. We also schedule resting days in between for me to recover a little bit, because I normally record up to 5 hours of singing. Do then in those 5 hours 2 songs with also as many breaks as I want. I always find that it's a little bit like working out, or when you're a professional athlete, you need to eat a lot, because when you're singing, you're burning a lot of calories. So I have to have a big breakfast, a big lunch, and keep my energy really high and my body very hydrated and nourished to really do the best job I can.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you all use a choir, or do you multi-track your vocals to get that choir sound?
For my solo album Vermilion, I did the choir together also with another male singer, and I think Arjen also provided some. But with Epica, we use a real choir, adult choir, and also a children choir. And with depending on where the choir is positioned, after they have recorded, I do a top line, or Joost, the producer, mixes me in, so you get a little bit the sound of my voice. But if the choir part is, for example, the chorus, then I always sing a top line. But we work together with the Amsterdam choir, Padam, they're called. They're really good, and they record 2-3 days in the studio, and then after that, I do my vocal recording. So I think I was one of the last ones last year in June to put the cherry on the cake.
Awesome. Fantastic. So about how much out of the year are you all on tour? And do you tour every year?
Yeah, we used to be on the road a lot. And now that many of us have become parents, we try to balance work life a little more. So we are also there at home with our little ones. The oldest is 14, the youngest is 1.5. We have 5 Epica juniors now. So the touring has become a little bit less, but overall, let's say the touring cycle lasts about 2 years after the album has been released. We're going to North America, Mexico in May, then we're gone for a month. Then we have a couple of summer festivals. September, we're gone for a month. We're working on another tour in end November. Then next year, January, February, March, we're going to do a European tour. And we're working on full-length North American tour next year. So you could say up to 3 tours in a year with single shows or festivals in the summer. And that's, I think, a good balance for being home, working on, a lot of behind the scenes stuff, because when we're not on the road, we do a lot of home office. We have weekly meetings, we plan, we have our 25-year anniversary coming up in 2027. So we're already planning what we can do to celebrate that. So we work a lot. It's not a 9-to-5 job, but it never gets boring.
Mm-hmm. I'll have to come see a show if you guys are coming to North America a couple times.
Yeah, we're doing now New York, Atlanta, and LA before we go to Mexico.
Cool.
And next year we'll do hopefully a full-length North American tour.
Awesome. Yeah, LA is about 5 hours from me via car. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, so Southwest, in the desert.
Nice and warm there. It's cozy.
Warm and sunny. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Time. This music video this song y'all released recently. So this conversation we're having will come out on my channel after I do my first ever watching and kind of musical analysis of Epica. And I've been in touch with Tiffany at Nuclear, and we've been setting up this system to try and combine some analysis videos with some conversations with the lead singers. I think it's going to be really cool. So I'm just, because that's the first thing I had seen from you all, I'm really interested about, that project and just what you can tell me about how it came together.
Are you talking now about also the choir version or the
I watched
Epica?
the official music video.
Oh, okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we also did the collaboration with the Hell Score Choir.
Ooh.
After that. But yeah, Time is, I think, officially our 3rd single. And the song and lyrics are written by Mark, our guitarist, grunter, composer. And it's at the time that we were doing A Spiral, we also had another collaboration for a Dutch amusement park, where we made an Epica version of the song Danse Macabre by Camille Saint-Saëns. And we made a metal version of it. And it's not on the album, but we worked and recorded it at the same time as the whole Spiral album. And I can feel that, for example, the song Time has a little bit the same vibe to it. Even the working title of the song was Spooky, because it has a little bit that Tim Burton, Danny Elfman vibes to it. I did not write any of the lyrics or the of the music, but I'm a huge Tim Burton and Danny Elfman fan. I think they're a perfect combo, and I really like the vibe of the song. And also the typical Epica choir chorus is very fitting. The response from the fans was mixed. I mean, now that the album is out, fans are giving us their favorite songs. And of course, back then we only had the singles. I love the song. I think I love the melodic guitar melodies in it. But I guess you're probably mostly interested in hearing about the vocal process, honestly, being a singer, or
honestly all of it, because I produce a lot of music and I write a lot of music as well. So I'm like such a nerd for the whole process of how it comes together. And I do like the spooky vibe with the children. The children singing was, that was the first thing that kind of hits you in the face when it starts. Like, oh, this is a really interesting kind of soundscape. Not one you hear super often, really.
Yeah, it sets the mood, and you also have I don't know how to call it in English, but it's in Dutch we say draaiorgel. It's the organ, that guys have on the street. They're turning the wheel and then it's playing the melody.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I don't know how it's called in English officially.
It's not an accordion, right? That's a different.
No, let me Google it because I'm intrigued now as well. Draaiorgel in Engels. But I can tell you a couple of barrel organ.
Oh, a barrel organ.
It's a barrel organ.
That's a rarely used instrument.
street organ. Yeah, yeah, and I think yeah we had official recordings for that, so it's not a sample if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm.
But the little girl you hear singing na 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 na, that's the cousin of Mark. And the little scream you hear is actually his daughter, who was about 4 months old at the time where he recorded her, because she was, she was just playing with her voice, discovering her voice. And her mother is an opera singer, so she's probably born with a good set of pipes. And he recorded her by chance. And then he tried to re-record her screams more professionally so we could use it for the recording, but we ended up using the first audio that he made from her. So the song Time is kind of a family affair. He has his little niece and his daughter screaming on that album. And I really love that because it really creates this scene where you can already see in your head a little bit. Mm-hmm. You get a really good visual with it. And we tried in the demos that I sing like in a childlike voice, but it's hard to duplicate that innocence and slightly out of tune that a child has. And you need to have it. If it's sung perfectly, it's not, it doesn't really hit the spot. But yeah, I can't wait to play that song live. It's one of my favorites, actually. I really like it. But that's the cool thing with that Epica has 5 different songwriters with each a different musical background, different musical taste, that Epica becomes so diverse because of that. And so far we had the symphonic synergy, we had the special orchestra choir shows in both Amsterdam and in Mexico City, where we performed with orchestra and choir. And back then we already played the song Arcana, our first single, before it was out, and also the title track Spiral, and the song I also talked about earlier, The Ghost in Me, which is basically a metal version of the Danse Macabre, together with choir and orchestra, and that was really amazing. But I'm looking forward to play the other songs live as well, including also the song Time, because I think it's a cool song. We did a rehearsal not so long ago, and we were playing more songs, and it's cool to play the songs that you composed, recorded, but not in the setting, of being on stage and really making the songs come to life. And I think this one's going to be a good live song as well.
Yeah, it's totally different, especially seeing the response in person with people adds so much to the energy and the atmosphere.
Yeah,
like it's like I love recording. I love producing music, and it's great to see a video go up and a lot of people like it, but you can be in a room with 30 people and it's like electric just because it's real people in a room together, kind of feeding off each other's energy. I think it's part of probably what keeps us all wanting to perform live is because you can't replicate that feeling anywhere else.
Yeah, it's every time a unique experience where you connect with each other. Music is very powerful and magical and very emotional as well. And for me, it's beautiful to see the reaction of the audience, that you can really see that they're becoming one with the music. It's going through their whole body, and at that time you can forget about all the worries in the world and just be in the moment and enjoying the life with some good music.
And how do you all create the music videos? Time, for example, how was the music video shot for that?
That was a very basic recording, because we did 3 official full production music videos. And for Time, I actually shot it in my own photo video studio together with a videographer when we had to record a couple of things, and we released lyric videos for almost all the tracks of the album, or will they come out later. And with Time, we thought we want to do also a video, but not in the same concept as the full production ones, which cost a fortune. And this was just finished setting up my photography studio, and then I could film it in my studio. So it was very basic, white background. I have all my costumes and things that I need, clothes. I do my own styling, my own makeup. And then we just have a professional videographer record me. And then we had Dave, he's Chilean. He also made a couple videos for Vermilion, and Epica really liked him, so we asked him to make the video for Time, and also the lyric videos for the other singles that we released as well. So, and he's very talented, and he made it really cool.
Awesome. It's really nice to be able to record in your own space when you need to, whether it's a smaller project or you need a quicker turnaround or something like that. But I assume, well, what are some of your favorite video shoots? I mean, I have yet to really dive into your group's whole discography, but I'm sure you've done some big, exciting video shoots as well, like higher budget, productions.
Yeah, with a huge team, I've done a wide variety of different music videos. For me, the visual part of the music is also very important, and for me, highly enjoyable. The guys don't like it that much. For them, it's more, waiting, and I get to be creative in that area, and I always enjoy it very much. I work together I mostly do my own hair and makeup. I sometimes have somebody assist me. And for the last Epica videos, we worked with a Dutch company called Kunststof. They also shot some older Epica videos, which were some of my favorites as well. And they put me through many different things. Wear the weirdest costumes for the last videos. I had to levitate, so I had to wear like this body suit, which was it's more like a fancy underpants corset thing, and then you have the ropes on your hips, and then they put you in the air for a couple of, not more than 2 minutes, because then the blood circulation is cut off from your legs and you need to come down. But I like a little challenge. I don't like to freeze that much, because I had to do that for the latest video, Fight to Survive. We were recording in a water tower. I enjoy recording in a studio where you can control the climate and the lighting, of course. And when you shoot on location and it's just so cold, we did that this time, and I thought, oh, never again. But then you see the end result and you think, yeah, it was worth it. And you don't see that it was actually really freezing my ass off for that. And lying in a bathtub with so much salt, so I would float, and then, swallowing that, getting it in your eye, getting it in your face, ruining your hair. You have to throw away your clothes after that, or hair extensions, or even wigs. I've done many shoots in the water. That's not my favorite. That's not my element. But it's the end result that counts, and that you're creative with a huge bunch of talented people, and you create this beautiful visual image that complements the music. So it's the same for photo shoots as well. I love playing dress up, playing with makeup and all of that. And I have also a stylist that helps me with the outfits, and it's a lot of fun. And the guys this time, they had to suffer, and to my enjoyment, because normally they are the ones that don't have to do much during the videos. I'm mostly always recording 1 or 2 days extra alone. But for these 3 videos that are kind of connected with each other, they're playing these, I don't know, we gave them the name Kevin, where they're wearing masks and are fully in suits, so you can't really tell which band member is which, and they had to do a couple stunts as well. So it was cool to see them, having to work a little more in the music videos, and it was a lot of fun. But I still can't tell which band member is which in the attire that they were wearing, because they were covered. You couldn't even see their hair anymore. I had to guess by the silhouette or the shape and the way they walk. But it was always like, is that you, Ari or Kun? No, Isaac? No, that's Mark, because Mark is like the most slender of all of them. And Mark actually had a role where he had to take off the mask, but the other guys are always completely covered, head to toe.
That's fun. That's very fun. Well, in our last few minutes, we've talked, entirely about music, and both of our lives are music is what we do. But I think the audience would enjoy hearing if there's anything you like to do outside of music for fun. And you were just talking about makeup and dress up and stuff, so that kind of reminded me to ask you about that.
Yeah, that is a big part of Epica as well. And I love to cook. I love to go to restaurants. I love to watch movies. And I do a little bit of photography as well. And other than that, I try to catch up on some much needed sleep because there's a severe deficiency of sleep and rest. But yeah, I used to have a blog. It's still online, but it started a little bit as a diary, and behind the scenes of Epica, sharing what I like, all my hobbies, and it's pretty much, in the creative area, photography. So I'm a very visual person, and besides that, I'm a huge food lover. So yeah, I love spicy food. I love sweets. I like to try, in every country that I am, I like to try local food or typical snacks. So I know that when I'm going to America, I'm going to get my favorite chips again, which are the jalapeno Cheetos. Buying them here in Germany, they're way too expensive, and probably now even more expensive. Yeah, so that's something I like to do as well. Do a little bit of shopping when I'm abroad, to a certain extent, because my suitcase is chronically overpacked and always too heavy. So
fantastic. And where can people find you and Epica if they want to keep up with you and what you're up to?
Well, we have our official website, epica.nl, and then we're all pretty active on Instagram. It's Epica Official. Mine is Simone Simons. I also have a Patreon. Epica has a fan club, which is hosted on Patreon as well, where we like to connect with our fans, and you can directly contact us. And those are the platforms I choose to be active on.
Great. Well, it's been lovely to talk to you. Thanks so much for coming on, and I'll be sure that Tiffany can let you know when everything's going to release and stuff. Should be probably a month or so from now.
All right, cool. Thank you so much.
Great chatting with you.
Good luck with your career as well.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Hi, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Simone Simons from the incredible symphonic metal group Epica. If you did, I'm sure you'll enjoy this conversation with a fellow colleague and friend of both of ours, Elizabeth Jaroff of the Charismatic Voice. Go on, click it. I know you want to.